Happy Thursday morning and welcome back to another episode of the Dickson Sports Report. I'm your host, Justin Spurlock, and I'm very happy that you've decided to tune in with us for a second week. Last week we had the bowlers from Dickson County High School come on and talk about their success in the state tournament. Today we're going to talk a little basketball. We've got the coaching staff from Burns Middle School. For the boys basketball team, they'll be here with me. Caleb Baker, Kyle Schreiber, those are the guys who lead the young men over at Burns, and we're going to talk to them today. I'm really excited about that. But before we get to our guest, we do want to let you know about some score updates. We want to keep you up to date with your local sports here in this area. There's been a lot of basketball played in the last few days, the past week, because of the snow that hit us in the middle of February. A lot of games had to be rescheduled, and you've got to get those in before the end of the season. So now we're down to the last couple of weeks, and we've seen a lot of games that have been played. So let me kind of go back over those with you. All right, we got to go all the way back to Friday night to catch you up on all the scores that we've missed since the last episode. Friday night, both high schools were in action. We had Creekwood playing against Fairview. They traveled over to Fairview, and it looks like the girls won by a score of 57-36. And then after that, the boys played, and they lost by a score of 70-65. Now, that same evening on Friday night, the Cougars were also in action. And the girls and boys traveled to Henry County. That's a big rivalry in these parts, and it's the second time that these two schools have met up this season. The girls lost by a score of 46-34, so Henry County got the victory there. And then the boys also fell to Henry County, and the score on that one was 58-50. And those games took place on Friday night. And then Saturday, Dickson County had another pair of games. So they had games on back-to-back nights. And Saturday was coming home. And over at Dickson County High School, that is the basketball version of homecoming. And so it was a great night. There were representatives from each of the classes that made up the coming home court, and they came. They were dressed up. It was really nice to see. It was a great evening that we had over there, and there was some basketball as well. The girls played against Kenwood and defeated Kenwood, the Knights, over from Kenwood, which is in Clarksville, by a score of 50-37. And then on the boys' side, it was a really close game. Came right down to the wire. Unfortunately, our Cougars were defeated by the Kenwood Knights on Saturday night by 1 point. It was a 53-52. And then on Monday night, Creekwood was back in action. Just a few nights ago, Creekwood took on Sycamore. This time, they traveled to Sycamore. Let's see. The girls lost this game by a score of 45-42, and I believe that they had defeated Sycamore in that first matchup, which I got a chance to go see. And then the boys defeated Sycamore by a score of 62-27, so a big win for the Red Hawks on Monday night. And then on Tuesday night, we had more games. Dickson County traveled to Kenwood, where the girls defeated the Kenwood Knights by a score of 49-38, and then the boys got the victory this time by a score of 54-41. And then Creekwood was in action again on Tuesday night. Creekwood seems like they're playing every night, trying to get those games in. They played against Stewart County, and the girls won by a score of 54-27, and the boys won by a score of 62-38. There's a lot of games in there, but as I mentioned before, it's because of the snow, things got pushed back. So we're trying to get those games in before the end of the season. Playoffs are right around the corner, so we really look forward to seeing how the teams over at Dickson County High School and Creekwood, how they do this season as they advance into the tournaments. All right, and let's go ahead. It's time now that we talk to our guest, joined today by coaching staff over at Burns Middle School. Fellas, how are we doing today?
Good.
Doing good. How about you?
Doing very good. Caleb, Kyle, appreciate y'all coming in. Basketball is kind of over now, at least at the middle school level, and at high school, I guess we were just talking about it before the show here. It's coming right around the corner before we get to our senior nights in high school, and before you know it, it'll be March Madness. So appreciate y'all coming in here with us this morning and talking to us a little bit about your season. If you don't mind, let's start off. I would like to ask both of you a little bit about yourselves, kind of where you grew up. We'll start there. Caleb?
Sure. Yep, grew up in White Bluff. Went and played basketball there at William James, played 3 sports there, and ended up transferring to Harpeth for my high school career, and played college basketball at a Piedmont College in Northeast Georgia, and just have been, obviously, that's the sport I've loved the most, so fortunate to have done that, and really it's what's probably made me who I am today, so love it.
Absolutely. Kyle, tell me a little bit about yourself. You know, you've been around here for a while.
Long time. So born and raised in Dickson County. Went to Dickson Junior High. Went to Dickson County High School for 2 years. Then transferred over and finished up high school at Creekwood in 2004. Went to Bethel University and played basketball there for a couple of years. Transferred over to UT Martin. Finished up, got my degree. Came back here and moved to Georgia for a couple of years with work, and then have been back in Dickson now about 7 years. Basketball for me is just one of those things. It's given me so much in life, and I love it. I've loved everywhere it's taken me, and it's just you get it in your blood, and there's not much else you can do. So
let's take a quick break. We'll be right back here on the Dickson Sports Report.
Complete Service Heat and Air is a trusted provider of top-notch heating and cooling solutions dedicated to ensuring optimal comfort and efficiency for residential and commercial spaces. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way 24/7. Service, call us at 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dickson, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties.
And we're back here on the Dickson Sports Report. So you guys both had, successful careers as young guys, playing basketball, junior high, high school, went to college. Talk to me a little bit about, playing college basketball and then going into the real world and then becoming a coach. How do you make that transition?
Well, for me, when I moved back home, got married, still hadn't coached, and a position opened up at William James. I've been out of school maybe 4 years, and I was like, why not? I was from White Bluff. It was cool. Living in Nashville at the time, got back into town and realized how much I really enjoyed coaching. When you're playing totally different than coaching, obviously, you got to treat it totally different. It's nowhere near the same. So early on, took me a while to figure out, hey, I can't do it for them. I can show them. But at White Bluff, we were successful. White Bluff won 2 sectional championships there. And then I went to Creekwood for a little bit and helped Charles for about a year and a half, and then kind of had another child, and we ended up kind of taking it back a little bit. But it's something that you don't realize how much you love the game. You play the game. You grew up playing the game every day, practicing. But when you're able to help other kids be successful, you just get this itch, like you just get this feeling like it's nothing like playing. We've won championships and playing in college. We're successful in college, but that seeing those kids and you helping those kids do that or win championships or win big games or become successful. And it's just, there's nothing like it at all. It's insane.
Absolutely. Kyle, what about you? How did you go from, playing college basketball to wanting to become a coach? What kind of drove you to it?
Honestly, for me, I was getting too old to play because I'd play and then I'd be down for 4 or 5 days and couldn't move. And coaching allowed me to keep the competitive juices flowing. I got into it coaching one of my nephews who's a sophomore at the high school, Gavin Franklin. Started coaching him and some other kids when they were in like the 3rd grade, and they stuck together up until they got to the middle school, and then some went to Dickson, some went to Burns. But for me, coaching was selfishly about a way to stay in the game and keep the competitive juices flowing. But as I got into it, I realized for me it was more about showing these kids and introducing them to a game that has given me basically everything that I've got in my life. It's taught me, I learned how to work hard. I learned what friendships and relationships are about, and stuff like that is important. And that was an opportunity for me to give back and show them something in the game that's given me so much.
Absolutely. I remember when I first started coaching, and I think my motivation to get involved in coaching was because I missed the competitiveness. Mm-hmm. But I think after a while, it kind of became more than that, and it was more of like, okay, now I'm passing off these lessons, and now I'm really mentoring kids. And I think at first it was about the competitiveness, but now at this point, I think what I enjoy the most is I love competition, but I really love being there for those young guys and watching them succeed and things like that. So, tell me how you guys got to Burns. You both obviously were coaching basketball at some other places. I think for years, those of us who are from around here were waiting on this Burns school to be built. I know for years I'd drive down 96 and I would see that sign said future home of Burns Middle School. And so we all knew it was coming eventually. And then when it finally comes, obviously they need some basketball coaches to start the program. You guys ended up there. Caleb, we'll start with you. I mean, how did you become interested in Burns?
Well, I moved back to Burns. It was really close to the school. And I had been out of coaching for a couple of years, but I still had that itch. I was at a better time in our life. Kids were growing up a little bit. So it was really just a good opportunity for us to be able to, I say us because obviously our wives play a large role in this as well, but it was an opportunity for me to try to get back into the game. It was close. Obviously don't work as a teacher, so it was easier for me to come home from work and go to the gym and not driving elsewhere. But it's really just, I had people once it opened up, I had people reach out, hey, you should put your name in, and I kind of brought that, like we talked earlier, the fire back, and you're like, you know what, that would be pretty cool to start a new program from the ground up. Which luckily I was fortunate to get the interview and able to get hired, but so that's really how I got back into it, was this position and it being right there local. I knew my kids were going to potentially go there, so it'd be kind of cool to see. My daughter's a cheerleader and son's coming up, plays sports. So just that, just thinking in the future, how could this look if took or tried to get that position. So luckily was fortunate to get it, and here we are today.
Well, and that kind of brings back up something else that I was kind of curious about, but I go to a lot of the games. I really enjoy watching your team.
Yeah, thank you.
And my son, he's in 6th grade there at Burns, so he's always wanting to go see his buddies and stuff. And I noticed before the game that a little cheerleader ran up to you, and y'all did some kind of handshake or something. Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, is that his daughter? I guess it was, but it's cool to see her being there and being kind of a part of it. And it's like a whole family thing.
Yeah, absolutely it is, and that's something that she wanted to do something. Of course, I would too, and I don't think we missed a game. I remember one game was right before, it was pretty intense. We started talking. She's like, Dad, what's let's go. We got to do this. So we did it for 24 or 5 games, I guess. So that's fun. And it, like you said, it makes it a little more easier to get there when all the family comes and her, she loves it. So, and she's been around the game for a while too. Yeah. So she was, When I was at White Bluff, she was a little baby, so she's kind of been in the gym for a long time. So
that's cool, and I'm sure you know this just like any other coach, but it takes a lot of time away from the family. So if you could somehow get them involved, I really think that is definitely a positive thing.
Absolutely.
Kyle, how did Caleb here convince you to come over to Burns? Because I know you've been around and you've helped with a lot of different programs around here, but you ended up with him. How did that happen?
I'm not sure. I just finished up a year at William James. Robbie Walker and I were there together for 1 year, and I just finished up, and I'd gotten a call. I knew Caleb and I knew of each other. We didn't really know each other, but he had called me randomly and was just like, "Hey, do you want to come to Burns and help me?" And I was like, "Hey, no, I don't."
That was his exact words.
Yeah. And he was like, "Well, let's get together and let's talk about it." And we did, and I get the rest is history. So, but yeah, I don't know how I got talked into it.
You guys have become a pretty good team. You guys have seen some success over the past couple of years. I know. Well, I'll let you talk about
Sure.
the titles and stuff that you won, but I saw you guys holding up the fours the other day, and my understanding is that you guys have won 4 years in a row with that conference tournament. So just talk to me a little bit about the success over the years, and then we can talk a little bit about this season specifically. But I mean, there must have been a lot of issues and a lot of things to overcome when you're starting a brand new program, and it must have evolved over time.
Yeah. So, well, the first problem we had was we didn't have a gym.
Yeah.
So we had tryouts. This is all happening just extremely quick. And that first season was tough. I mean, there was a lot of unknowns. The kids didn't know us. We couldn't really build a relationship because it was so quick. We went to summer camp in T-shirts. We didn't have jerseys. We had T-shirts made over across the street at Goalpost, and it just said Burns and no numbers or anything. And feet first. We just went right in. So that it wasn't easy, and we saw some success that first year. I think we went 13-10, so with a winning record, had a good chance of beating a good team to keep going in the tournament, but lost that one. But it was a good stepping stone year. I think when we started this, when I say we, is because I brought him on, wanted to bring him on because I knew he had such a good relationship with the kids. That was coming up into the program, and I knew his love for the game, been around the game, knew he played, so I knew we were going to be able to. We should be pretty successful as long as we had everybody buy in. So my first thing as a coach was in starting this new program was we wanted to build a culture early, and that first year helped. We built that culture of hard work and just discipline. And being able to play together, our motto since day one's been together. We say it after every practice, say it every breakdown. We'll always will say it. But that first year was tough. But it also built what was happening the next 4 years, including this year. So the next year we go 20-something-2. We win our all of our conference tournaments. We win our area, win our sectionals, and we go to state. Which at that point, I don't think anybody had been around here to actual state. So we go up, and we're top 4 in the state of Tennessee, second year in. So got upset in double overtime. Not upset, but got beat in double overtime off a last second shot. It was brutal. We talk about it all the time. We talk about it every day. We talk about every practice. It comes up somehow. But and then the next year, we had that first set of sixth graders that were, the first sixth graders in the school. And we had those guys, which most of those guys were the kids he had. So, we had that group groomed and ready to go. And we went 20-something-2 as well. Got upset actually in sectionals. That was tough. So that was that group, that sixth grade group, along with those first couple of groups, really built the culture that we have now. Winning culture. Work hard, no excuses, do it all together. There's nobody on our teams have been individuals. We don't allow it. We won't allow it. And then last year we ended up going where we were supposed to be down, go 18-5, win conference again. didn't make it to sectionals, got beat in area, upset in area last year. And then this year we were going to be down again and go 19 and, what was it, 2? 4?
4.
Yeah, 19 and 4. And then the 4 is we've been in 2 different conferences, but basically the same teams, different names. We've won the conference tournament and the regular season 4 years in a row. So not easy to do.
No.
Because, in middle school, you're usually 8th grade heavy. And then you just hope and pray that next group has learned so much and that we've done our jobs as coaches that they're ready to go. And so far that's been the case. We like I said, it's a process, but I think it's a process that so far has worked for us. And the kids that are in the program now, the 6th graders now, they know from day one this is how it's going to have to be if you want to be successful, or if you want to see the floor, or if you even want to dress varsity, whatever your goal is. And I think we've really kind of done that together. We also have another coach that helps us chase. It'd be crazy not to mention him, who's a teacher at Burns. He's helped us a lot. He's kind of in the building, so he's been a huge thing for us to have. He's younger. Kids get him. He loves them just like we do. And it's just crazy to have that third person. And he's played college basketball, a ton of experience. So he brings another area of expertise, and it's been fun.
The biggest thing about our program that's been there from day one is we're a family.
Yep.
We coach these kids hard, but we love them even harder.
Yeah.
And they know that. And when they know that, they're much more receptive to us coaching them as hard as we do. I doubt very seriously that there's another program anywhere around here that demands as much as we do out of our kids, but they love to give it to us, because when they give it to us, we give it right back. We don't ever ask them to do anything that we're not willing to do. When we're conditioning with them. We're in the trenches with them, but more than anything, we love them. I mean, if you came to a bunch of our games, but like behind our bench, it's a bunch of our former players that are in the high school now that come back to watch us. And I know his phone is the exact same as mine. Every day I'm getting calls and texts from former players just calling, telling me about their practices or talking to me about this or that. And it's, once you're done with us, you're not really done.
Right.
And our guys know that. And the older guys, the high school guys, are accepting and loving of the young guys. And it's just a real family atmosphere. And I think that's a lot of the reason why we've had some of the successes that we've had, is because everybody gets along, everybody plays for one another. There's no selfishness. And I think that's huge, because at the end of the day, it's not about us.
Nope.
It's about the kids. I don't even have kids. I just coach because I love the game, and I love being around these young men and being able to, try to instill a little bit of the wisdom that I've picked up along the way, and to me, that's what this, especially at this level, what
100%.
It should be all about.
Absolutely.
And I think we've done a pretty good job of that so far.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite things about watching y'all's team is it doesn't feel like the boys make a ton of mistakes. So what I mean by that is, obviously they're well skilled, but I feel like their basketball IQ is high, and I feel like that's something that y'all probably gave them, because like anybody can miss a shot. Right? Anybody can make a mistake like that. Anybody can accidentally throw a ball out of bounds. And I'm not saying they don't do that. Sure. But it just seems like they understand the situation that they're in more than the other teams. That's just my sort of what I saw. It's like whenever a certain situation pops up, it seems like they're prepared more than your average middle school team. So maybe just kind of talk. How did you get them, so prepared? Is that something y'all practice? Because it seems like the basketball IQ is high and the situational awareness is there. And I was just kind of wondering how you got them there, because I know that's hard to do.
Yeah, it's a lot of that has to do with, we spend a lot of time before we get into actual practice talking about our personnel, because it's our job as coaches to put our kids in situations to be successful. And every single year it's been a little bit different, and we have tailored what we do to try to put our kids in a spot where they're going to succeed. From the stuff that we run offensively to the defenses that we run to the out of bounds, we figure out, okay, where's the basketball IQ at, and what can we run to try to, make it work. Luckily, though, I'd say we've probably been lucky when it comes to basketball IQ kids for the most part. We've had smart kids play for us, for sure. But a lot of it just comes down to, figuring out what we've got, and then when we get to practice, trying to tailor make, everything that we do to fit. We're not trying to, fit a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah.
We're trying to, put circles with circles and squares with squares, if you will. So
yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with grooming them early too. Mm-hmm. A lot of these teams, a lot of these kids, like this past team, they've kind of been waiting their turn outside of a couple, and they're seeing these teams in front of them and learning daily, and like you said, their IQ is high enough that they can just soak that in, and our expectations haven't changed ever. So they know once they get up to that 8th grade level that the expectations are the same that they have been the 2 years before, which also helps as well. Plus, like you said, we're not stubborn. We're not going to run something that our team can't run. And we've had teams that could run up and down, and we're not running much. They're just so athletic that, we just got to get out and go. We're trying to shoot every 3 seconds. And then, like last year's team, just the opposite. We had to slow down every single possession. And I think it's a testament to our kids more than us, honestly, just to be able to, come to work every day. And I think a lot of it's just the growth that you see once they get to that 8th grade, which where most of our teams have been 8th grade heavy.
Yeah.
Which is, and that's why we're successful, because they've been doing it for 3 years.
We practice hard too.
Yeah, it's
between Caleb, myself, and Chase, there's not many, if any, basketball situations that we haven't seen.
100%.
And our practices are
tough.
We go hard. They're intense. We work on a lot of different stuff, a lot of situational basketball and things like that. It's not your typical middle school basketball practice.
Yep, agreed.
For sure.
Yep. And like you said earlier, we told these guys this last game, we know we're not easy to play for.
Yeah.
Meaning our expectations of them are so high, and it's so in our practices, our program in general is tough. Mm-hmm. And it takes a certain type of person, which I think we've done a good job of finding those certain type of kids that can actually take, that hard work. And we've been lucky there, but it's, like you said, it's hard. We go hard.
Yeah. For sure.
And it's luckily, if I don't have it one day, he's got it. If he don't have it one day, I've got it. So, and we've been fortunate there too, that we're usually there, we're hands on all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think whatever y'all are doing is working, because you've seen the success. But a lot of people don't realize, like, middle school sports is a different animal than just about anything. I was telling somebody not long ago, I coach soccer over here. I coached basketball for a long time, but I coached soccer a couple of years ago, and that was the first time I'd done middle school. I'd done high school basketball stuff, and it was just fascinating to me to see the growth of a 6th grader to an 8th grader physically, but also skill-wise. And because they're taking such a big jump every year, your teams are never the same. Even if you got the same players, your teams are always going to be different. So to see that success carry on from team to team is even more impressive to me, because of the type of athlete that you're dealing with. You're dealing with a young guy who's just, hitting puberty and all these things. He's getting big quick.
Right.
But talk to me a little bit about this season.
Sure.
And, your success this year. Who are some of the guys who really contributed? Maybe some 8th graders who, unfortunately, probably going to lose to the high school. But talk to me specifically about this year, and, how that team worked out versus maybe last year or next year, and who are the big contributors?
Yeah, so, we're like I said earlier, we're 8th grade heavy. So we started 5 8th graders all season. I guess we didn't have and we only had 2 lineups all season, which helps as well. But we had our main, we call him our guy, was Alex Potter. I think he ended up, I was doing the math Saturday morning when I was taking the jerseys back. Right at 20 points a game, 430-something points this season, which is extremely high. Probably the most we've seen since we opened the school in one season. What's great about him is extremely good teammate, even better kid, unreal athlete. But he just kind of quietly did it. I would get home and look at the book and be like, man, Alex had 27. I'm like, what? How did he have 27?
Yeah.
Just super smooth. But he was our guy. I mean, everybody else knew that. He was the one we tried to get the ball to. Most of our sets were run for him. But then we had, obviously multiple key contributors. We had Barrett Rainey was our point guard all year long. Wells Swafford was also a massive contributor because he was the kid we kind of looked to like, hey, Wells, we need to stop. We need you to take a charge. Kind of did the dirty work of the team, which you got to have one. And we've always had one or two and those are the type of kids that make us a winning program. The ones that'll go, hey, I need you to go take a charge. You might not score today, which he didn't care. So all massive contributor. We had Evan
Pierce.
Yep, Evan Pierce, great outside shooter. He's one of the kids that him and Barrett were a couple of the kids that we kind of just saw grow over this past year. Didn't get much playing time before. Didn't even dress varsity. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think they did last year, but just like you said, that 8th grade year, they both grew. Their skills got big. They worked harder, and they were massive contributors. And then another one of our main guys, who was one of our main guys last year, is Gideon Williams. We run a defense a lot of teams don't, and he was the reason why, because he was so good at the position at the top of the key there. So, and then we also had an 8th grader, Kylan Chavis, who did not play. I think it's his first time he's ever played.
Yeah, first
Talked
time.
him into it. Big kid, awesome kid, fun to be around, and helped us. Ended up being a contributor for us. Not early on because we had to obviously get him ready, but he ended up being a pretty good kid to have off the bench and helped us win. Obviously helped us. He ended up starting some, so helped us win some games. And then we had a couple of young kids, really young kids. We had a 6th grader, Ben Pierce, who is going to be he's going to be a problem. Yep. Not problem for us, but problem for other teams in the near future, and was some this year. We started in one game. Just had a weird feeling that he was going to be able to help, and he ended up knocking down 4 threes, and probably the only reason we won that game. So, and then we had Balin Tidwell, who's played for 2 years, dressed varsity as a 6th grader, which we don't do very often. He's 7th grader this year, come off the bench to help. So we've got a number of kids that, that's 7, 8 kids. We could go 8 deep usually, but those are the main guys. But there's obviously those guys that either didn't dress varsity or just played JV or dress varsity and didn't much playing time, that are obviously massive contributors for us because of how we have to practice. And we're fortunate that they understand that and they give us their all, whether they're playing varsity minutes or not. So it's been a fun team. It's one we're going to miss a lot.
For sure.
Kids we miss them all, but this group is special. They're good kids. So we ended up going, like I said earlier, 18-5. We started this season 4-0. Had a 2-game skid there where we kind of had to look in the mirror and try to figure out, we might have to make some spots, and we did, and then we won 15 straight, I think, which I think surprised a lot of people, may have surprised us a little bit. But it's just a testament to that 8th grade class. They've seen it in the past, and they kind of took it on themselves, like, hey, we're going to be one of those teams that people aren't like, oh, well, Burns is down this year. Well, they kind of took it on their shoulders themselves. So fun year, going to miss those guys. Miss them right now, but looking forward to the future too. We got some young guys that are going to be able to step up soon. And like you said, it's like you take an Alex Potter, who was a point guard last year, who came back 4 inches taller this year, and now he's playing post. So you just don't know.
You don't ever know. And I think there were a few games where you guys got up a big lead this year. I mean, obviously there were some close games that I went to, and then there was a few where, you had that lead, and I noticed that you were putting in a lot of your young guys, and so they were getting that experience, and that's obviously got to help you going into next year.
Absolutely. I mean, that's key, and we have been fortunate to be able to play young guys in some games, and just, I mean, it's not even a matter of like, hey, I need you to go do this. It's just being on the floor in that type of atmosphere. I mean, our JV program has been super successful too, so they're obviously getting huge minutes there. But yeah, I mean, them being on the floor, it definitely helps for the future, for sure.
Yeah, I noticed Ben Pierce, getting out there, and he's just a little fella.
Yeah.
But man, does he play?
Yep.
And you can tell that he's been coached well, and he's got a high motor. And I can't wait to see where him and some of the other guys end up doing in the future, because they were a lot of fun to watch this year.
Agreed.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Absolutely. All right, we're getting down to the end here. It's only a 30-minute show. Unfortunately, I could talk to you fellas about basketball forever.
For sure.
So obviously, you guys have had a lot of success in the past, and you're looking forward to next year. What does the future hold, though, as far as would you maybe someday want to move up and do high school basketball, maybe college? You guys have done a really good job with this program, and I think you're a great coach, both of you.
Thank you.
And I think you guys have done such a fine job. There's always that sometimes that want or that need to move up. Is that something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always something that I mean, to say that I would say I'm just going to coach middle school the rest of my life, or just want to coach middle school. I mean, if the opportunity came up, I would definitely be, it's something it's also a family decision as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the situation had to be right, and, it would be something that we talk over with the fam and make sure it's something we could do. But yeah, I mean, as a coach, as an athlete, like in middle school playing, you want to make the high school team, or you got a goal to go to college. Well, coaching, it would be fun to go up. And plus, if you could potentially coach some of the kids that you've already coached before, I mean, you got those, those thoughts in your head, like, what could we do up there, or what could we do anywhere? So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's something that would be fun, it'd be a cool thing to do for sure. Coaching in college, I don't know if that's possible. That's going to be tough, not teaching or being around, but yeah, I mean, the high school level would be fun. If college came up, that'd be pretty cool too. But we're, I very fortunate to be at Burns, and the administration's been amazing to work for. When we came in, when Corey hired us, it was, he just kind of let us have it, and they trust us and we trust them. It's been really fun. But yeah, I mean, you never know what's in the future. I think it would be something that'd be fun to do for sure.
Well, I'm sure you guys keep up with the NFL like I do, about everybody.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you guys have been paying too much attention to this latest hiring cycle with coaches, but it really seems like the NFL is going young.
Yeah.
And maybe the days when you're seeing these 60-year-old coaches, I don't know if that's the wave of the future. Sometimes lately it seems like young coaches are in demand, and I think that's for a lot of reasons. But I definitely would like to see you guys continue your careers over at Burns. Maybe see what happens. I've really enjoyed watching y'all.
Thank you,
especially this season. I've been to a few Burns games over the years, but this year was the first year that I actually went to the majority of the games. With having a kid in 6th grade who wants to go to the games, it gives you more of an incentive to go. And the more I watched your team, the more I enjoyed watching your team.
Thank you.
And I've coached basketball before, and I love it. It's probably my favorite sport. It's definitely my favorite sport to watch. I think coaching it is just a whole different experience than any other sport. But no, I've really enjoyed y'all's team, and really enjoyed watching y'all coach. And just congratulations on all the success, and just appreciate y'all coming in tonight.
Yeah. Yep, thanks for having us.
Appreciate the support.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're going to take another short commercial break, and we'll be right back here on the Dickson Sports Report.
Complete Service Heat and Air is a trusted provider of top-notch heating and cooling solutions dedicated to ensuring optimal comfort and efficiency for residential and commercial spaces. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way 24/7. Service, call us at 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dickson, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties.
All right, just a couple more things, and we'll close out the show here. I want to let you know about some upcoming games that I want you to go ahead and put in your calendar so you can make sure that you go support our young athletes. There's no game tonight at Dickson County High School, but they will be back in action tomorrow night. That is Friday, February the 9th at 6 p.m. Let's see, is that northeast or northwest? Northeast will be coming to town Friday night, so you won't want to miss that. And then over at Creekwood, there is a game tonight. It looks like Creekwood will be taking on Montgomery Central. And I think I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show, but Creekwood had their homecoming on Tuesday night when they took on Stewart County. They also had a great basketball homecoming celebration. I had the chance to go by and check that out. It was amazing. They had student representatives that were all dressed up. It was really nice. And so both high schools this past week getting to do the basketball homecoming, and that was really, really a lot of fun. You do have a few more chances to catch Creekwood in action, but only a few more, and one of those is tonight. So I hope that you get a chance to go out and support these young men and these young women as they continue their basketball season. All right, one last thing that I need to let you know about here. We've got the Cougar Baseball Annual Leadoff Banquet, Spaghetti Supper, and Silent Auction. It'll be taking place February the 10th. That'll be this Saturday at 5 o'clock. We do have a guest speaker, Darren Schoenrock, $15 per person. And this really is a big help to the young men playing baseball. They really appreciate your support. If you have the chance to come out on Saturday, you'll get to hear a great guest speaker. You get to have a great meal, and you'll get to leave knowing that you've supported some young athletes who really need that help. And I've got some word here that I just received that Eli Potter, who is, the MVP of the Cougars baseball team last year, great player. I've really enjoyed watching him the past few years. He's signing to play college ball with Christian Brothers University in Memphis, and looks like he's going to be doing the signing there at the spaghetti dinner. So not only will you get to hear a great speaker, get some good food, but you'll also get to watch a young man sign his letter of intent to go play college baseball. And how cool is that? So congratulations to Eli Potter, and I hope that you get a chance to go out and support the Cougars baseball program this Saturday for their annual leadoff banquet. How cool is that? All right, well, that'll do it for us today. Appreciate you guys watching the show. We'll be back next week with another guest to keep you updated on sports right here in Dickson County. This has been the Dickson Sports Report. We'll see you next week.